Hey. Lightfall was officially revealed 125 days ago, and frankly, I'm getting tired of waiting. So instead, I've taken it upon myself to uncover as many details on Lightfall as possible. So if you want to know everything about the darkness and the witness and all that's to come, you came to the right place. Now I'll save all the brain-melting details to the end, so be sure to stick around to question your view of reality. Let's kick things off with a softball, easy-peasy theory, a little bit of an explanation on the existence of Neomuna. The new point of interest. If you don't know already, Neomuna is a giant city on the surface of Neptune, which already poses a couple of logistical issues, but, you know, just add that to the pile of other Destiny plot holes. The city is great and all, but it poses a little bit of a problem. Where did they get all of the resources to build this massive, sprawling cityscape? I mean, if you don't know, Neptune is pretty devoid of natural resources. Being an ice giant, it is essentially ice and ammonia and some other liquids around a tiny little iron core, so not much in natural metals to work with. It does have a couple of natural resources though, on its moons. Neptune's main moon, Triton, is 2/3 rock, so almost certainly this moon has become a mining establishment. There's also another moon, Nereid, similar to Hyperion, not that one, the moon of Jupiter, that could also be a mining establishment, potentially. Either way, these new mining moons at some point in the future could become points of interest that we visit, whether that be a strike or a dungeon. And honestly, that would be super cool to see, to be able to go through essentially a planet ravaged of materials. Not every single theory I have today is totally ludicrous. Neptune is purple now. As we know, the Traveler will make inhabitable planets habitable using the light or something or other so that its guardians can, well, you know, live. The biggest problem with Neptune, aside from having no natural resources and being unfathomably cold, is its atmosphere. The Neptunian atmosphere is incredibly heavy. I mean, if you were on the surface of it, you would be instantly crushed. And if that doesn't kill you, the minus 300 degree Fahrenheit temperatures would, and the 1,000-mile-an-hour winds would probably blow you off the planet. The Traveler most likely had to lower the pressure of the Neptunian atmosphere, otherwise it wouldn't be habitable at all, but that means it had to probably remove some of the methane in the atmosphere. Methane is what makes Neptune blue because it absorbs red light, so if you remove some of that methane, then it looks less and less blue, therefore Neptune has become purple. There we go, we have our first purple planet in the universe. Purple planet, that's fun to say. Outside of silly little things like mining moons and the color of Neptune, let's tackle another easy theory: the entire identity, motives, and origin of the darkness and the witness. This one's a doozy, so leave a like and pray for me. To begin forming our theory, let's start with some loose threads we have from the previous Lightfall trailers. So to start off, we have Strand, which affects life as we know, and from its description is some form of connection of minds. We also have Calus, which for some reason is in the Dune recovery soup. We also have Scythe Guy, who's obviously some sort of harbinger of the darkness, but at the same time, his imagery kind of represents death, he acts like a guardian. He's still kind of a loose thread I don't think anybody's figured out yet, but I have a feeling he's incredibly important to the story. While we do have a bunch of hanging information, it's not the main issue. The biggest question we have is, what does the witness in the darkness actually want with the light? Well, they want it dead, but that's not a very interesting theory, and I'm here to be a schizo, so here we go. As we know, the Traveler is an organism. It's a symbiotic organism. It essentially gives something to the Guardians so that they will protect it. That it being the light. One important detail that I'll get around to later is the fact that the Traveler can seemingly produce infinite energy. I mean, it can reinvigorate life at will. Keep that in the back of your mind. Let's go back to the witness. So in the trailer, we see the witness see something amongst a bunch of plants. This could be some sort of inspiration, or maybe what was ever in the plants infected the witness. I mean, we do get a very dramatic close-up that many movies and other forms of media will use to indicate possession, like Hereditary. Once again, we'll come back to this, leave it in the back of your head. Let's also briefly cover the witness's ideology. He believes in life through death, and that loss of life is often important, if not even necessary. Take for example the story of Rogue, someone who the witness essentially coerced into destroying his own species, which frankly physically doesn't make any sense. Why would anybody do that? It's destruction of your bloodline. Nobody, even the most evil person, would think about genociding their own species unless something really messed up happened. One important detail is that Roke's race was a previous race of light bearers that had fallen into turmoil, and for some reason the Witness wanted them dead. So why does the Witness want as many casualties as possible, specifically light bearer casualties? So that's a lot of loose threads. So what does all of this mean? I don't think that the Witness was always a herald of the darkness, just as humans weren't always a herald of the light. We see him with the Black Fleet in what I presume is the inciting event between the Witness and the darkness, confirming that the Black Fleet already existed. Essentially, this was the Witness's own personal army, but that's another theory for another day. He encounters the darkness, or what I presume to be the darkness, amongst a bunch of dead, writhing gray trees. Now, that isn't very important. Just kidding, it is. It is the single most important detail in this theory. It actually, in fact, gives away the entire identity of the darkness, if I'm correct, which I am. So, what is the destructive force hell-bent on destroying the light? A mushroom. Hear me out. Let's go over another term that you'll need to know: decomposers. Decomposers are organisms that break down dead material and consume it. It's something that happens every single day. It's a natural part of the food chain. We just don't realize that it happens most of the time. Decomposers are usually underneath one hive mind. They aren't usually individual organisms, and occasionally they will infect others in a parasitic relationship. One key factor is the more energy that decomposers can get from other dead organisms, the better.
Hey guys, Future Ace here. I realize that I phrased this really weird. Essentially what I meant is that an organism that can glean more energy from the food than it eats is more likely to survive. Natural selection, yada yada, you get the picture.
So what are the highest energy beings in the universe? The Traveler and its guardians. They are literally infinite energy. They can be resurrected at any point, and if you could kill the Traveler as a decomposer, presumably you could have infinite food forever. This is all about a predator-prey relationship. In the darkness's eyes, if it could kill the Traveler, it would never have to look for food ever again. The darkness is some sort of organism evolved to consume light. But how did a fungus reach this level of hunter-hunted relationship? I mean, it's a fungus, it's not an active killer. That doesn't really happen in the real world, does it? You know the answer if I did that. Yes, of course it happens in the real world.
Alright, let's play a little game called Ace Butcher's Biology on a whiteboard. So first of all, we have our group of fungus, and some fungus eat squares and some fungus eat circles. Now, the fungus that eats circles live a whole lot longer than the fungus that eats squares, so the fungus that eats circles are going to propagate and reproduce more than the fungus that eats squares. These will probably die off. The longer and longer the fungus survives, the more likely they're going to eat circles, and occasionally they'll get even more aggressive and they'll realize, hey, if we can kill the circle, well, we'll get to the decomposing bit a whole lot faster. So they'll start killing circles so that they can start eating the circles a whole lot faster than if they just had let them die naturally. And this does happen in the real world, which I will get to in a second.
The darkness is a hungry parasitoid that will infect its victims and force them to kill bearers of the light so that it can decompose them and more specifically consume the high energy yield that they contain. As I previously alluded to, we even see this in a real species of fungus, Ophidicordyceps unilateralis, also known as the zombie fungus. This fungus will infect ants and once again essentially hypnotize them, force them to walk up onto a branch or some high ground, bite into the ground, and since there's no other easy way to put this, die. This fungus infects, controls, and kills animals as its method of survival, just like a predator. It doesn't infect humans, so don't trust those 50 scary things you didn't know about nature videos. It's just a really cool thing that happens in the really cool real world. Anyways, back to video games. I firmly believe that the Witness, the Black Fleet, the Darkness, all of it is just one big paracausal mycelium trying to kill and consume and reproduce, just like our friend Ophidicordyceps unilateralis. In fact, I believe that the next Darkness subclass, Strand, is just the mycelia that connects these minds. Look at the description for Strand. Heck, even the name Strand is kind of a reference to how mycelia is just a bunch of wiggly little brain fibers. This means that stasis could be the ability for the Darkness to paralyze, much like Ophidicordyceps unilateralis. Now we know that the darkness can paralyze and hypnotize. Sound familiar? Ophidicordyceps unilateralis. Calus is just the most recent in the line of those who have been infected. His obsession with power and aura of death made him a prime candidate for the darkness to infect him, just like they did with Roll. I have to fit the Scythe guy into this somehow, so he looks like death. mushrooms eat dead things. This whole time, Destiny 2 has been The Last of Us, and we haven't realized. In conclusion, the Traveler is potentially the last of a species currently hiding from the hyper-advanced fungus called the Darkness that will infect the minds of others, including Calus, Rogue, and the Witness, in order to carry out its master plan to kill and consume all living creatures that bear the light. See? Told you it was easy. With this theory, I can even give a pretty educated guess as to what the third darkness subclass will be. Now that we have immobilization and psychic abilities, it makes sense that a space zombie fungus would be draining and killing its prey. So as so many have predicted for at this point years, the third darkness subclass will be a form of poison. Now, it won't be under the name poison, and in fact, it's probably more of a draining ability, but the point still stands, it will be based on damage over time. And that concludes the trifecta of abilities a dark fungus would need: hypnotization, paralyzation, and destruction. Whether or not I'm right about these, I'm still super hyped for Lightfall coming next year, and I hope you guys are as well. Now, at this point in the video, I was going to be reviewing your Lightfall theories, but that would make this way too long, and I have to edit this by Friday, so I'm just gonna separate that into its own video after this comes out. So if you haven't already, subscribe and drop your most insane theory down in the comments below, or follow me on Twitter and send me one there. I'll be reviewing my favorites in the next video, and who knows what the winner will get. Nothing, I don't have anything to give you. I'll be going out of town for New Year's, so while you won't see me for around a week, I will have another video up soon. And I'll see you guys in 2023. See ya!
Your time is up.